Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. John Henry Soto with you here. It is June 10th, 2026 at 7 a.m. Very excited to go through this JHS Talent Management journey that we've been doing. We're doing 20 episodes of this. We're up to episode number 3. Today is number 3, and we're going to be talking about our first and only artist that we represent at the moment. This is definitely the beginning journeys of what we're doing. Isis Christopher and what exactly is happening with Isis. And we're going to go over some of those, some of the things that we're doing and some of the things that we're planning, some of the things that have happened and some of the things that are going to happen. And basically, one of the reasons why I've decided to do this is because the journey is something that I think not a lot of organizations you get to go back and see. Whenever you get to go back and see the process, I think it's interesting for me anyway to see other businesses do that. And I thought, what a good way to document what we're working on, to just put out there exactly what the steps that we're taking, some of the developments that are happening, and some of the exciting things that we're putting together here with Isis Christopher. So that's why I'm doing this, and I hope it's entertaining. The last 2 episodes, I thought they were very entertaining. I got some really good feedback from it. The first episode, we talked about building the JHS Talent Management, basically just how it all started, and then what independent artists get wrong about their careers. We're talking to an independent artist, and when I moved here, I thought I was gonna. I've been here about 5 years, almost 5 years. First 2 years were a blur. Then I started this agency, again, kind of a blur, but as I met so many artists, I realized, there's so much amazing talent, but there is baggage that comes with a lot of this. And there is, when you're trying to help an artist and trying to develop an artist, it's really difficult to help them if the energy that they're putting together, the energy that they bring to the table, is filled with a lot of drama and a lot of baggage and a lot of things that we need to kind of get through. This is part of why I pulled back from trying to sign a lot of artists, because I realized that, it can damage the brand, it can damage everything if you bring somebody on whose demands are unreasonable and who brings a lot of more drama to the table than talent. So slim pickings, so to speak, right? I mean, the talent pool here in Nashville is ridiculous. I mean, you can just turn at any corner and see an incredibly talented singer, guitar player, drummer, bass player, and any kind of musician. It's just, they're all over the place, and trying to pinpoint and trying to find the ones that have good energy, have a good viewpoint, a great mindset, a strong mindset, have their lives sort of together. And, I mean, obviously everyone wants to do better in life financially and otherwise, but have their lives somewhat together. All these things are elements and reasons why, you have to really look at it. And one of the most exciting developments for JHS Talent Management has been signing artist Isis Christopher. From the beginning, I not only saw that her talent as a vocalist and performer, but also her commitment to growing as an artist. And in today's music industry, talent alone, unfortunately, is not enough. Success requires planning, consistency, and a team that believes in the artist's vision. That is exactly what we are building together as we begin the next phase of her career. So, as we got started, the process has been very slow because I realized that we have to sort of tread a little bit lighter in things. And and look who's watching. Hello, Isis. Well, she's a songstress, that's for sure. Songstress Isis is watching, so I better be I better behave. I better say good things. But from the beginning, um, meeting her and realizing that this is not only someone who had a tremendous amount of talent that was sort of, I don't want to say bottled up, but it was, um, yeah, not bottled up, but I feel that there was a lot more there. I thought that there was a lot more there and I thought I mean, to me, it seemed superstar quality as far as the vocals, the appearance, the mindset, the viewpoint that she had. And that's what I really fell in love with. I thought, man, this is just the perfect artist. And it took a while. It took a year. We had coffee, we had lunches, we talked about vision and ideas because I really wanted to make sure, because by that point, I had already gone through, or not through, like I'm going through artists, but I've already met with a lot of artists and, and asked them similar questions, and what came back sometimes was genuine, but genuine concern about the future, and there was more concern about the future than their current state, and what they were doing today. I didn't see how it was going to go into a future thing if they weren't doing much, and I thought, well, let me help you do this stuff today. So that's where I started. That's where I started. But it didn't stay there too quickly. It kind of disappeared after a while. So, and that's why I moved on, and I just kept meeting with different artists. And Isis was the one that I met with the most. She's the one that I really had a lot of confidence in. And, and she knows I'm saying this now, but I've said this to her many times, of course, and to others. And, the immediate goal right now is to develop a strong live act. This is what we're working on. So I'm going to read a little bit of some of the things that I wrote so I don't forget what I wanted to say, right? At the end of all this, I'm actually going to give you, I have 10 points here, things that you can do to get your music heard in 2026, which is what we're doing. We're working on this, on developing this as well, right? Now, all this stuff, before you get to those 10, you have to do some of the legwork, right? Which is what I'm going to go through right now. So our immediate goal is to develop a strong live act by putting together a dedicated band that can support Isis both in the studio and on the stage. And that's what we've done. We have some musicians that we've met with. I've met with, when I got to meet a couple. I've met a lot. I went through a lot of bass players. I think more bass players than anything. But when I found someone that I thought, oh, this is good, then I introduced them to Isis, and then we all did a virtual, and we got together and we talked about music, and we talked about goals and life, and that's where it really got exciting, when you get to that point with someone where they're talking about the music and how much they love the music, but at the same time they're also loving the time that they have right now on Earth. It's like, it's limited. It goes by very, very quickly. People think that 85 years is a long time, and it really isn't. You can ask an 85-year-old, and they'll tell you, I'm not 85, so don't ask me, but they'll tell you, man, it went by fast. I wish I would have enjoyed a little bit more. One of the things that, if you go to a nursing home, my grandfather and my grandmother spent their last years in one of these homes, really nice ones. So it wasn't a sad situation, but my grandfather, who I visited the most, because I moved him over to a place right near where I lived. I would go there and I would talk to him, and then he would be having lunch, and I would sit with them, and there were a lot of the residents that were there, and I would hear their conversations. I would ask them questions, because I'm a curious guy and I like to talk. And they, almost 90% of them, were saying something that they wish they would have done every single time, and it broke my heart, because they can't now. They can't. People say, well, you could always do it. When you're 90 years old in a wheelchair and you can't walk, there's certain things that you can't do. Unfortunately, right? This is not to take away anything from a 90-year-old that's incredibly healthy, right? I mean, look at Dick Van Dyke, right? He just turned 100, and there's a lot of people that are still living great lives well into their 80s and 90s. My point is that there's a few things that make it difficult for the majority. Those are special cases, right? So this was a very exciting thing, and we got to meet four musicians, which I'm going to briefly go talk about. Then I'm going to show a little photo here. So here they are. First, I'm going to talk about Elon. Elon's a great guitar player, plays a lot of sessions, does a lot of work throughout Nashville, and travels with some artists. Great guy, very down to earth, was very interested in the project, wanted, liked the idea that the project was going to be done this way, where I was going to, we were going to put things together and then send it out and then have limited rehearsals, because these are all very, very professional musicians that don't need a gazillion hours of rehearsal. Now, when we get to a show point where we have the music ready and we're ready to put something together, we'll do a little bit more rehearsals, obviously. But by that point, they would know the music. And like I said before, they're very professional. So that's Elon. Otis, we have an amazing drummer, very energetic, very positive, knows Isis from around, was very supportive to her and to her career and to the journey that we're putting together here and to this project. So that was very exciting. Angel, we got up on the top. Now she actually knows Otis. She knew Otis from around. I think she even mentioned that she played with him at some point, or I think she did maybe the sound, because she does sound engineering as well for her events. She's a bass player, very energetic, jumps around, dances. She even asked, she was very, very cute. She asked, so is it all right, if I dance around a lot, because I do it? I was like, man, please go for it. Dance, do your thing, be comfortable. This is what we're doing here. And so she was very excited about that. So we're happy to have her on. And last but not least, we have Miles. Miles Thomas is up on the top there. And he is the musical director of the project. He's a jazz, classically trained musician, pianist, and plays incredible. He's already done some amazing things with some of Isis's music. That's hard to say, with some of her music. And, it's just been an incredible journey so far. We've gotten together only a few times, but in that time, he's gotten enough material where he's been able to put some things out, send us some things that he's working on, and it sounds fantastic. And we're very excited. We have another a vocal thing that we're putting on the track, and then we're going to send it to the rest of the guys and gal, and we're going to then have a nice rehearsal of this material and a couple of other songs, maybe a cover song, just to have somebody. And very exciting, very exciting. And these are just really, really great musicians, but also just great people, very interested in the whole process. So I'm very excited to be working with them. And Isis and I talk about it, we're like, wow. I mean, Miles, what he's brought to the table so far has been incredible. I can't imagine what these other amazing artists are going to bring, and it's going to be fantastic. So we're very excited about this. This is a project, and I think that's an important thing when you're out there, is to mention to the artists that this is a project. You're going to put these things together and give them an idea of what the thing is, so they don't think that they're just joining another band trying to make it. No, tell them this is the project. The project that we're going to get 10 songs down, 10 original songs. We're going to learn 10 maybe other cover songs, maybe a few more. I think everybody will throw their covers in there, and 99% of popular cover songs, I think a lot of these artists already would know. And we're going to put that together, and then we're going to put together a live show. A live show is going to be a very specific show. It's going to be an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes long. We're going to record it, and then that's going to be the material that we're going to present. So that's the project. So they know now what it is. So I think it's important to really tell artists what the plan is, because they come in just thinking that, they're just going to do this one thing. And it's not, doesn't work that way. It's very, very deliberate. You have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional when you're doing something. You have to say, this is what we're going to do, and let them know, and then get your feedback, and then adjust things. If somebody comes up with a good idea, or if they realize that maybe your idea is not going to work because of whatever reason, you make adjustments accordingly, right? So we're focused right now. We are also focused on creating solid catalog of music, which I just mentioned. The plan is to complete 10 original songs, which I just mentioned. Um, and then we're going to use that for live performances, promotional opportunities, and audience engagement. We're going to use all that material that we're going to get during rehearsals and all that for that. Having both original music and familiar songs will help create a balanced set list that appeals to a wide range of listeners. So, beyond the music itself, exposure is a major part of strategy, right? Drawing from my years of experience as a filmmaker, podcast host, and talent manager, and industry networker, I am working to connect ISIS with venues, showcases, writers' rounds, industry professionals, and media opportunities. So I've been meeting a lot of people. One of the things you have to have whenever I have a conversation with anyone, and this is something that you can, I guess I can get these out of here. You got to see my face again. I'm sorry. But one of the things that I realize when you're in a conversation with someone and you're talking about art, anything artistic or creative, you have to then be able to give, what are you bringing to the table? What are you trying to expose, right? What are you bringing to the table to try to get exposure of, right? And this is where building something is so important, right? Because you can build all the relationships you want, but you build a relationship, and if you don't bring to the table a thing, something that somebody can look at and be like, "Hey, that's really interesting. That's fascinating. I'm very let's talk. Let's have a meeting. Let's have a coffee together." You got to bring something to the table. So for me, obviously, I have 10 films under my belt. I've done hundreds and hundreds of shows, of interviews. I've interviewed like legendary people, and I have a little bit of a network of really great people that I work with. So I can bring something to the table where it'll get me a second meeting, or it'll get me at least some type of interest, right? And I think building that early on is very important. So that's what we're building with ISIS, right? And so building relationships is one of the most important aspects of building a business through networking events, partnerships with organizations, podcast appearances, which we're working on. I'm working on right now. ISIS doesn't know yet, but she knows now because I just said it. But getting her on podcasts, video content, live performances, and we're creating opportunities for people to discover her music and connect with her story. So, putting together a couple of videos, I have some footage that we did a while back of her telling her story and answering some questions. I'm editing that. It's kind of already edited. We haven't put it out yet because the timing is just not right. We have to make sure that we have some of the pieces in place so people can, if we show interest, then we got to show them what they're going to be listening to, right? We got to have some music. So the music industry continues to evolve. So this is a really important thing if you're in this industry, right? And I have a lot of people here on my other platform that I can't mention because all the other platforms get jealous. So I just say, but this platform right here, I'm getting a lot of energy over here. Thank you very much. But the important thing is that we have to remember is that this industry, man, this industry changes every day. And if you're not learning something every day about it, or reading or keeping up to date on what's happening, and if you're a filmmaker, what's happening in Hollywood, I always tell people join, these sites that I always tell people about. Very important to kind of get these under your belt. First one is this one, theindustry.co. Sign up. This is good for filmmakers in particular, which is really good for that. And then, of course, readthedailies.com. This goes into specific projects that are happening. Again, this is in film. And for music, you should be on Spotify. You should be seeing what the top Spotify songs are. Why is that? You can go to rollingstonemagazine.com and find out what's the top acts that are happening right now. Read articles, get a subscription if you need to, but really start focusing on what is happening in the industry. So you're learning because it's changing very fast, very rapidly. Right now is a really tough time, believe it or not, for music. Music, because of AI, has been demolished. They're destroying their own, like Spotify is destroying themselves by just allowing all this AI garbage to be on there. I mean, the music may not be garbage, but I can't support in the same place the idea that someone prompting a song by writing and say, write me a song that goes like this, and like this, that is in the same category as somebody like Isis Christopher with live human band putting together songs that come spiritually, that are engaged, in life. I can't put those two things in the same category. I love AI. I use AI for certain things. It's great for some editing, for color correction, for writing, for it's good for certain things, for research. Fantastic for research, right? But not for creating the initial art. And that to me is where it gets a little sad. Um, and this is why we have to go about it a different way. We got to create the brand, the business, and then we got to emulate from there. It's got to start from that point, because in the old days, you'd go and you try to get a record deal, right? You try to get, then you started trying to get on playlists, right? That was a Spotify thing, right? You got on playlists or iTunes, and all these different opportunities that were really great opportunities. Unfortunately, they've been saturated, and um, they've been infiltrated by AI and by music that takes just about 30 to 40 seconds to put together, and suddenly now it's up there, ready, mastered, produced, perfect pitch, everything is perfect. And music and rock and roll and pop music and stuff shouldn't be always perfect, because that's not humanities. We're not perfect. It should be raw. It should be sounding like an actual person. You should be able to hear the voice, the breathing, the actual sound of a human creating those things. I mean, that's really is the important factor of it. And she agrees, facts. So that to me is really the key element. So music right now is in trouble. It is in trouble, and this is why not only am I putting this together, but I'm also putting together other musicians that we can all kind of have similar ideas, similar goals, where we can work on each other's projects. And if I can get 100 musicians that are on board, that have the right viewpoint and mindset, we can create a movement. We can create something special, but it has to be something that is built in organic content, something that somebody wakes up in the morning and has a great idea for a song. That's where it comes from. Or you're driving somewhere and you're driving and you're suddenly like, oh, this is a great idea. And be careful driving, but if you pull over to record it, or you have a pen and paper, pull over and write it down, whatever the thing is, that is how it works. I mean, it comes from, and you can say it comes from God, it comes from spirituality, whatever, but it comes from somewhere at unexpected times. And when it does, man, you better sit your ass down and you better write it. You better document it, because that's the important thing, because we're losing to machines. We got to do this. So the music industry continues to evolve, but one thing remains true: artists who consistently create, perform, and engage with their audience have a best chance of success. Why is that? When you actually comment, when you make a comment to a fan, when someone is interested in your work and you acknowledge them, you immediately increased the affinity for that person, right? And suddenly they like you a little bit more. Don't you think that one person is going to tell someone else about your music because you made a comment, because you engage with them? This is how you do it in 2026. And Isis Christopher has the talent, the work ethic, and determination needed to make an impact. Here at JHS Talent, our mission is to provide the guidance, opportunities, and support necessary to help her reach new audiences and build a lasting career. This is just the beginning, and we are excited about the road ahead. Now, remember, this is a long-term lasting career, because I think what happens that we're in this world of instant gratification. We want it fast. We want it now. We got fast food. We got social media platforms that are fast. I mean, Instagram, instant, right? The TikTok artists that are very, very, have a million views. Suddenly they get picked up by a record label because they have a million views sitting in their bedroom recording. It's wonderful, because they're have exposure and their song is going to get out. But where's the development of that artist? And what happens to them? They usually come out, very few of them stick around long enough because this takes a lot of effort. And this is a grind. This is a long-term goal. And if you don't have that right mindset, if you think that you're going to just be in your bedroom playing, you may do that for your whole career, and that might be an interesting thing. And in the future, we may look at artists that have never played live, but only and have millions of followers. That's probably something that's going to be in the future. And they retire from music, just being online. Not to mention AI people, AI artists that are fake and not real, have no soul. They may have full careers online because they can't perform online in person because they're not real, right? They're phonies. So the game it's a long game. That's my point that I'm trying to make here. And we're very excited about what's happening here with ISIS, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful that I got to meet her and work with her, and I always say, we never know what the future holds, but we do know what we can do today. And if you know what you can do today that will help you in tomorrow, then you have a better tomorrow just based on that. I think that's the exciting part. So we're doing that. We're taking steps. I'm talking about the journey. I'm meeting a gazillion people behind the scenes. I mean, the band doesn't know it, ISIS doesn't know, but I go out and I meet people almost a couple of times a week. I'm somewhere meeting either the owner or somebody and trying to get more networking and more opportunities, right? So here are 10 things that you can do to get your music heard in 2026. Number one, release music consistently instead of waiting to release a full album. So we're working on a couple of tracks right now, which we're going to be releasing very soon. But if you have songs in the can, or if you have a song that you say, well, that's an old song. What do you mean that's an old song? Did millions of people hear it? I mean, there's no such thing as an old song if millions of people haven't heard it yet. So release it, put it out again. Number two, create short form video content for platforms like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. And when you do this, you keep your audience engaged. This is something that I tell ISIS, to put content out there, not too much. We want to keep people in somewhat of a mystery of what she's doing, but put some stuff out there. Perform at local venues, obviously, festivals, writers round regularly. Do those. There's a whole art form to how you're going to perform at these places. There's certain venues that I would say, I'll do a show on that. I'll do a show on that because it's a much bigger, broader thing. But you do have to get out there and perform, right? Collaborate. Number four is collaborate with other artists to reach for new audiences. Collaborating with Miles and ISIS together, I think is very exciting. I think that's something that's going to go really, really far. I think Miles is an exceptional artist. Number five, build an email list and communicate directly with fans. So I have an email list. I have a pretty big email list of almost 20,000. And when there's an event going on, I can send out things on those on that list. I don't do it too often because I don't have, unless I have like another You Are the Magic concert series coming up. I'm planning one for September. I don't know how that's going to go. I still have to find a venue. The venue I did the last one and closed down, so I'm working on that. But have a good email list, so when you meet with somebody, hold on to that connection. The next one here, number 6, appear on podcasts, online interviews, and we talked about that. That's really important. Number 7, submit songs to playlists, curators, and independent radio stations. Radio still exists, folks. People think radio is dead and it's all streaming. No, it's like people saying television is dead. Television, go anywhere. There's still television. People are still channels. There's still millions of people watching television. Still millions of people listening to the radio. It's still a thing. So don't count it out. And also playlists on Spotify. I'm not a big Spotify fan. I do listen to it. So I can't, not to sound like I'm a hypocrite, but it's not the place I would think that's where you want to put your stuff. Number 8, create behind the scenes content showing off songwriting skills and recording process. I have some content that we recorded with Isis, which we're going to be putting out. Number 9, network with industry professionals. That's what I'm doing. Venue owners, promoters. So you as an artist, if you don't have a manager to do these things for you, then you have to do it on your own. If you get a manager, then they can do those things on your behalf, right? And number 10, develop a strong personal brand so fans connect with you as a person, not just your music. And I love Isis because she does have a brand. She has when you see her walking, people immediately know that there's an artist there because of the way she presents herself. And we've been in places where people have made comments. I can't remember, but I know there's been comments made about her appearance, and people think that she's with a performer. And it just it I can see that, I can sense it. It is something that's very, very interesting. It's a personal brand, and I love it. So in 2026, artists have more tools than ever, folks. If you're an artist out there, man, if you need any help, if you have any questions, I'm not taking anybody on at the moment, but I will be at some point, and I would love to hear from you. So send me a message at johnhenrysoto@gmail.com if you have any questions. But we have, you have a lot of tools right now. But the key is it's combining great music with consistent visibility. The artist who stays active, builds relationships, and keeps showing up are the ones who give themselves the best chance to be heard. And that's what you want to do if you want to be heard. You got to get people on your side. You got to get people on your team. If you don't, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed in any way if you don't get someone behind you that believes you. You can go knocking on doors. I know a lot of artists have done that as well. But when you have a manager, when you have management, when you have other groups of people that are really supporting you, that is a huge, huge thing. And that's how you give yourself a chance, is build those relationships and put down on the table what you bring to the table quickly. Here's what I have, and get those conversations going. All right, friends, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in this morning. I will see you all tomorrow morning. I'll give you a quick what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow morning as I talk about this journey. Tomorrow's about networking. Why networking still matters. I'm going to go into really specific things in networking. I'm also going to give you places to go where you can network in your town, where you can find places to network. That's a massive thing. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m., 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 5 a.m. if you're on the West Coast. I don't know who's going to get up at 5 a.m. to see this face, but listen, if you do, send me a message because I want to tell you how much I love you. All right, friends, take care of yourselves. God bless you all. Take care of each other. We're all we got here on this planet. I will see you all tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.